This little pattern hack updates the swing smock. You can add multiple or one layer of frills to the hem, adding both length and interest, particularly when using contrasting fabric. You can also create a cap sleeve effect by adding a frill to the shoulder. Firstly, stay stitch front and back pattern pieces and front and back facings around both neck and armhole edges, stitching in direction of arrows. Mark armhole crosses from back and front pattern pieces onto right sides of front and back smock pattern pieces. Right sides together in direction of arrows, sew shoulder seams on front and back pattern pieces and front and back facings. Press shoulder seams open. On wrong side of shoulder frill, mark line B crosses at either end of frill. If preferred, finish raw hem edge of frill with zigzag, overlock or rolled M. Remember, hem edge seam allowance is 1 cm. Turn shoulder frill right side up. Edge stitch shoulder frill hem edge and press to finish. On straight edge of shoulder frill, 5 mm from raw edge, draw in 2 lines 5 mm apart. Run 2 rows of long loose tension stitching on these lines, making sure to keep ends of stitch lines long. On shoulder frill, knot both of the long loose stitch lines at one end only. Use a needle to draw thread together at the back of frill, stitch and knot. Draw up gathers from one end of frill to the other. Match crosses at each end of shoulder frill to crosses on front and back smock pattern pieces. Gently pin into place, evening gathering out between pins. Tack, then stitch shoulder frills into place. Right sides together, pin facing to smock at neck edge only. Stitch, being careful not to stretch neck edge. Trim seam allowance. Turn facing through to inside of dress. Press neckline and edge stitch, being careful not to stretch neckline. Pin turn through facing to smock, wrong sides together at armhole, making sure that there are no twists or pulls in facing and shell of smock. With smock facing upwards, pin then sew bias binding along armhole edge, following seam allowance of 1.5 cm. Trim away about 5mm of armhole seam allowance. Remember, do not trim bias binding. Fold binding to inside of smock. Pin into place and press, being careful not to stretch binding and armhole. Also, make sure binding cannot be seen from right side of dress. Top stitch binding into place, then sew side seams. Skirt frill, right sides together, sew each section. Press each seam open, then if preferred, to provide a neat finish, zigzag or overlock hem edge. Press hem up by 1.5 cm. Pin hem into place and top stitch. Sew 2 lines of loose tension long stitch length along top of skirt frill. That is 5mm from edge and 5mm apart. Right sides together, pin skirt frill to hem of smock, matching up seams of frill to smock seams, that is the centre front, centre back and sides. Remember, every second seam of skirt frill goes in between dress seams. On skirt frill, knot one end of each of the long loose stitch lines. Then draw up gathers from one end of frill to the other. Gently pin into place, evening gathering out between pins. Tack, then stitch skirt frill into place. If preferred, to provide a neat finish, zigzag or overlock frill and smock seam allowances, either separately or together. PS, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to receive updates, tips and tricks from the VJ Simsters.